Can you hear me okay? Does this sound okay?
You sound great. This is going to be the best speaker volume for you. It's going to work out perfect.
You're like, I really feel like this is it for you.
I've been praying for you, girlie.
You are a lost cause,
Ah,
however.
my goodness.
How you been today?
I have been good, partly because I have had three caffeinated beverages. I like don't
Good.
I used to
Ooh.
not even be able to drink coffee, and now I could like inject it into my blood, and it's
And it still doesn't do anything or like enough. Yeah,
yeah.
that's real.
But yeah, I'm doing good. I feel like the sun's out, so I'm trying to like really take full charge of today.
Harness that energy. I know it was gorgeous out, surprisingly.
Yeah. Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm good. I don't know, kind of same. Poe and I like went for a nice long W, listened to the pod.
Ooh.
Um, and it was lovely out, but then I like came home and I took a shower and sat down on the couch and then was like,
Yep. Every
you
time.
know,
The
but
second you sit down, you're like, okay, here I go.
yep. But you know what? We jumped around, we moved around and we're ready to
Yeah.
party.
I like it. I'm gonna try to be a little bit more positive and a little bit more helpful on this
Oh
episode
my
because
God, you're
when we
fine.
recorded last time, I wasn't feeling it. So I feel like I'm coming at it from a different perspective this time. So I'm happy to recharge this.
Yeah, I love it. I also feel like there were some things that I wanted to say too, like after we left, that I was like,
Yeah, I was like, how helpful was I? I just said I have no idea.
no, but I feel like also, I feel like it's worth it to say that this stuff, it shouldn't be something that is like an overwhelming thing that you feel like bad for not doing, especially as a mom or, whatever it is. It's
Yeah.
like not for nothing. You're fucking busy and doing a lot. Like, you
Whoa.
know,
Yeah.
but cool.
Yeah. Also, I don't know what my bud rose and thorn is going to
Me
be.
neither. It's
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull it right out of my hiney.
I literally did one yesterday. Let me think about these types of things real quick.
Think about it for a sec and then we'll like get
Um,
into it. Also, I love that Luna is on the pod.
yeah, there's like no letting go of her. I'm just
Does
giving
she
it.
just like follow you around all day?
Yeah, we like gate her out of everywhere because she just follows me everywhere I go. I feel bad.
So,
She just needs love, but like I have nothing to give anyone.
yeah.
I give everything I have. I don't have anything left of me. I feel bad
No.
'cause she is a good. She just wants love.
That's so cute though.
She lets like Annie go over and because she thinks that Annie's gonna pet her, but obviously she
Oh,
doesn't. So she
right.
grabs her and pulls her. And Luna just sits there. I'm like, wow, don't do that to Oscar Lincoln because you will get bit in the face, girlie.
Yeah. Oh, Luna.
She is a good
She's
cat.
like, you know what, sister? You can do whatever you want to me. I just want a friend.
Friend.
Oh,
All right, cool. Well, let's jump right in. I think that you had a good like setup last time, so I feel like that's a good format.
I don't really remember what it was, but we're gonna roll with
You had
it.
your notes.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I have them.
Yeah,
They're here.
so we'll just follow that.
Okay, sounds good. Well, welcome back.
Welcome to Literally Nothing Matters. We're
Where literally nothing matters.
yep. Chad is gone and Mandy is back where she belongs.
Yes. Move
Yep.
aside, Chaz. Although I really did enjoy listening to him. Like literally 2 seconds in, I was already giggling.
Oh my God. It was funny because when I was re-listening, I was like, because in the beginning, he was so nervous and he was just like spitting off things as he does, like when he gets nervous. I feel like he tries to be like funny and like, jokes around a lot. And I'm just like
Yeah.
listening, being like, all right, get over this hump. And then I feel like he got into it and he was so enjoying it. So I was
Yes.
happy.
It's just funny because no one else would notice that, but you're like, you're my husband and you're annoying. Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was fun though. It was like a really, at the end, Chad was like, I think we needed that more than anyone.
Yeah.
Therapy session for because we have obviously talked about all of our fertility and like, but it's been a little while since we've gone through it. And you just kind of like wash it away when it's done. You don't
Totally.
want to focus on it anymore. So it was kind of therapeutic and
Yeah.
nice for us.
Well, and obviously you two, it's been such a whirlwind of like all of that happened, but then you got pregnant with Annie and now you've been in the just like midst of becoming a new mom and like wrapping your head around all of this. Like you probably just haven't even had the like mental capacity to stop for a second and reflect on everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Someone said to me once, like, when you're in infertility, it is like all consuming. It's just a wave over you every day, all day. And then when you're
mm,
out, you like forget about everything. And it's so
yeah,
true. Thank God, because it's like it is healing
right.
when you meet the other side of it, regard like however that is. But yeah, man, it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, but I think it was such an honest conversation and you didn't like sugarcoat anything, but you also brought a lot of really nice perspectives to it. So I'm sure that so many people appreciated it. And I feel like also just as someone who like hasn't, I mean, it was informative also of like, okay, how that can go down, but also like how to support a loved one. Because I feel like you just don't ever know what someone's going through, or if you haven't been through anything, you just don't know what to say.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it was nice. But
That's
on to
great.
this week's episode.
Yeah. Well, how was your weekend?
How was my weekend? It was nice. I saw you.
Ah,
And
the best.
yeah, I feel like Saturday we didn't really do much, so it was nice on Sunday to have the bridal shower, which was beautiful,
Mm.
and to see all of our girlfriends. And Annie came with me, and she slept there and back, which was a blessing.
Oh, she did sleep on the way back.
Yeah, yeah,
Good.
nice. And then, but I got a little nervous because I don't know if it was like this for you, but driving home, it was like torrential hurricane
Oh,
weather.
it was
Like people had
horrible
their
weather.
hazard lights on the highway. At one point, I was like, should I just take this exit and like go find a parking lot? But then it
Yeah.
would stop. So it was one of those things of like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, like just get home.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it
yeah,
was freaking disgusting out.
it was crazy. And I loved your Instagram of like what we wear in New England. You can dress and like jean jacket and then like year down parka over it. So
Yeah. I was like, and then of course my sister that lives up in New Hampshire, literally 1 hour away. It's like, you Southerners are so soft. It's not winter coat weather. I'm like, well, you relax and let me live. Like, I don't have a warm enough raincoat, which is like my lack of wardrobe.
yeah.
But
What is the point of like the windbreaker type of jacket? You know, like the
I
same thing.
hate those.
They're so cold. Like you put them on and you're cold, even if it's like hot out. You're like
Yes.
buggy in it. They're just gross.
And then I feel like when it rains, they just start to like stick to your body.
Yeah,
They
they're
just
not
get like weighed down.
right.
It's gross.
So yeah, it was a nice weekend. Didn't really
Nice.
what about you?
Yeah, same. I feel like it was like a very social weekend, which was nice, but like, oh my God, I am drained.
Right. You did a lot.
I just like my social battery is so low, I feel like post COVID. And then also I got my period today. So I was like, it all adds up as to why my energy levels are new and my anxiety levels were way through the roof all weekend. But that being said, it was a really like happy and like love-filled weekend. On Saturday, my family came into town and my dad took his first ever cycle class with me, which was adorable. He like showed up in his like outdoor cycling attire, like his like neon blue, like tight tank top. Sat
Wow.
dead front and center. So we were just eye to eye the whole time.
Oh my God. Is he
Just
really
like
intense?
he was so intense, but like in like a funny way.
Oh my
He
God.
was just like so cute and adorable. And then my sister's boyfriend also came with and took the class. And then like afterwards, I was like, okay, well, I have to like kind of like clean up and like do my thing. So he's like, oh no, we'll go make ourselves busy. And I was like, okay. And then they were just like playing around forever in the gym. Like my dad was like making my sister's boyfriend do like pull-up contests with him and stuff.
Oh
And I
my
like showered so quickly because like my dad's not the most patient person in the world and like them showering and getting ready is a much different beast than myself. So I
God.
did it so fast and then like ran out there and I was like expecting them to be waiting for me and they weren't. And I was like, where are they? They had just gone down into the locker room. They spent so much time just like bopping around. It was hilarious.
Of course.
Yeah. And then we met up with the rest of my family and Mark's parents and went to Putt Shack in the Seaport, which is like this cute little um indoor like mini golf place, but there's also like a bar and a restaurant in it. I think like the owner of Top Golf started it. Like he
Okay.
left Top Golf and started, so like same kind of vibes.
Okay.
It was chaotic for sure, but super fun.
I love it.
Something different.
Yeah. I feel
And
like I do the
then
same things over and over again. Maybe I should look into something like that.
yeah, I know we should for one of our, little monthly meetups, we should definitely look at some of those kinds of places.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Girlfriends of the North Shore. We're going golfing.
Yes, let's do it. Oh my God, we should all take a lesson. I feel like that would be hilarious.
Oh God.
It would
I
be,
would try. I would probably need a buzz or something.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think that that's like half the fun, right?
Yeah. Okay. I'm happy I'm not alone.
Okay, writing that down, bucket list. We'll vlog it, put it on the YouTube.
Love it.
Yeah, and then on Sunday we had the bridal shower, which was like so gorgeous and always good to see the gals. And never ever make two social plans in one day, but then it was also my one of my best friends from high school, her 30th birthday. So we did a little gals brunch and then her boyfriend surprised her because he doesn't live in Boston, they're long distance, so he surprised her with a little like dinner thing after with her family and like watching her absolutely like melt into a puddle of happiness when she saw him. It was just like I started crying. Like it was so cute.
Oh.
Because, like, right before we went over there, me and her were sitting at a bar and she was just kind of getting emotional and just talking about how much she missed him. And she was like, I kind of had like this feeling in the back of my head that he was gonna like pop up and surprise
Oh.
me at some point over the weekend, but like it's okay. He'll be here next week and it's out of
Oh.
my head now. And I was like, girl, you're gonna see him in 30 minutes. Like,
Yes, that's so
it
cute.
was really cute. He's just such a good guy. Like, when you just like see your good friends like thriving like with a partner that like
Mhm.
is genuinely so good, it's like everything you want for them, you know? Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. I'm happy you had fun because you had a
Just like
lot, but
stuff.
I'm happy you had fun at it all.
It's all good. It was all good stuff. Just like need a nap today, you know?
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
It's all good.
Cool.
Whale, what's your rosebud and thorn this week?
Rosebud
Did
and
we
Thorn.
do it like you and Chad did it? Bounce back and forth?
Sure. What the
A
hell?
rose, a rose.
Yeah. I will start with my rose. Why not? Today, I woke up and was on like a kick to clean my house because it was a disaster. And so it was like, go, 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 go. And when Nanny went down for a nap, I vacuumed and mopped, and I never ever mop. And then she woke up after like 45 minutes. So I met a friend for this like baby music dance class thing,
Oh,
and it was super cute. It was really fun. And then I came home and I was like, okay, now like I did something for the house, I did something for Annie. Now like I need to sit down and do stuff for like the podcast and for like the Wolfboro house and for like my after school programs, my tutoring, all these different things. And I was like, in my head, like validating, like now I need to like work.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like I sat down, I'm like, I just am not feeling this. And I looked at Annie and I was like, well, I'm just going to spoil you. And so we just walked down to the park and we just played outside. And usually I'm like trying to just get so many things done, but I feel like I just like actually realized that I wasn't happy doing those things today. And so
Yeah.
changed course of action. And it was just so fun. She like loves the big kids and just is like smiling and giggling and having a great time. And I feel like those are the moments and the memories that like are already going so fast with her growing up. And so
Yeah.
just letting them happen is so powerful. And I'm happy that I just kind of let the expectations go and had ourselves a good old day.
Yeah, I love that so much. Like, we can't be talking about Annie today because I got my period today and like it's just gonna make me emotional. So,
Uh, Seriously. When I read
You're gonna you're
about it, I
gonna
was
need to
like,
reel it back in.
yeah, stop talking about her.
Stop talking about her. No, I love that. I feel like it's, what we were talking about recently of like changing your expectations and like you're actually following through with it. So that's so great.
Yes, I feel like not
A
working.
bud turning into a rose.
Yeah. It's changing my whole perception of like what productivity looks like and like why you're here in the first place. Like you're not here to grind it out. You're here to like find moments that bring you joy and happiness and just sit in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Preach.
How about you? Where's your rose?
Okay. I feel like my rose is, I think just like this weekend and how happy it was. And I feel like I'm definitely realizing that, I mean, like yesterday was definitely like an aggressively packed day, but I feel like in this post pandemic world, realizing how like, I don't even know if it's social anxiety, but like, I don't know, anxiety of just like everything being so busy and like there being so much, which is definitely a byproduct of exactly what you're just saying, like feeling like every single day needs to be productive in some way.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like this weekend was a really good just like reminder that like that's absolutely not the case and like really the reason why you're here are for the moment spent with like the people that you love the most, like having a really, really nice day with my family and like, with friends and stuff. So, and like being a part of those moments and actually being present and
Mhm.
like soaking them up. Um, because they're like more fleeting than we realize, I think. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cute.
Yeah.
That's just thriving over here.
Thriving as I'm like sunken into my
Yeah.
cuddle corner in the couch. I'm fully like surrounded by pillows.
Same in this
So I
wonderful.
am thriving. Yes, correct.
Want to jump into our bud?
Yeah.
Okay. My bud is that, as I briefly mentioned, we have a rental property in Wolfboro, New Hampshire, and it is like it can be overwhelming, like to just run the property. And sometimes you get kind of bogged down because it like takes a lot of inside work and a lot of communication and a lot of like, I don't know, a lot of stuff that I didn't realize it was going to take. And finally, I feel like it's starting to fill up for the summer and for
Good.
good season. And it's just like really exciting to see like all of your hard work, like, because we had a really successful year last year, but even now it's like more busy. Like our summer's almost all booked. And it's like nice
Amazing.
to see all that hard work kind of like come to fruition. And now you can kind of like start to walk away a teeny bit more and just like let it go instead of
Yeah.
having like micromanage everything. So it feels nice that like this big project that I've been working on with Chad and my friends like is actually successful because we're all been,
Yeah.
like we're just going with it and now we're like finally seeing it come through and it's really nice.
That's so exciting. I
Yeah,
love that.
that's my bed.
Thriving business owner.
Oh, just a little something on the side. So funny because I have like all these side projects that I'm like, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. And then you think about it and you're like, meanwhile, I like quit my full-time job, but like I actually have a lot of like
Yeah, it
part-time
adds up to like
jobs.
three full-time jobs.
Yeah.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Fine, everything's fine. What about you? What's your bed?
So we talked about this a little bit last week, but not on the podcast, but um I feel like I am doing a good job or like really working on doing a good job of setting some solid boundaries with work and with life and learning how to say no and learning how to like actually follow through on creating and building a life that feels good, like in my body and in my mind. And that's going to give me the freedom to like ebb and flow a little bit with the way that our energy levels change throughout the month and just not say yes to everything because I feel like I have to. Um, Yeah.
And so you're just like starting that transition.
Yeah. So
I
we
love
try them. Taking back my weekends for the summer, so that's huge.
deserve it.
And I feel like it's one of those things, especially in the fitness industry or really like any service kind of industry, where you feel like you have to work on the weekends, on holidays to be able to make a lot of money. And yeah, for sure, I could make more money if I just said yes to every single client and was open at any time. But also, like, I don't care. Like, I feel like that, like, I have experienced it. We have talked about it many times. Like, that just leads to burnout. And, like, I'm at a point in my life where I just want to prioritize, like, other things in my life. Not even more, just like have them also be a priority that's up there too. And like thinking about it in the other way just feels so like fear-based to me, like how what we were talking about
Yeah.
before. Like just saying yes to everything because you're so afraid that nothing else is going to happen and there aren't going to be other clients and like no, they exist, they're out there and like we'll find the people that fit into that those pockets of time and like that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To you.
Uh
I love it.
uh.
Um, oh, I wish you could see Lincoln right now. He looks like a little baby soul. I'm actually gonna make you see him.
Yeah, I want to see. Stinky Linky? Oh my god, Stinky Linky on a pillow. Him and Poe are the same.
They really are. They
Like
really
it's
are.
crazy.
It's so funny. These are like these are the purebred Southern dogs that we find in boxes.
Yes. Purebred.
Sorry. Okay, back to our situation. So Thorn. Why don't do you have a thorn? Why don't you go first?
My thorn is just like I got my period today and it is it sucks.
Yeah.
Like I just it makes me wish that like I mean I guess I could use like a sick day, but like I feel like we should get an automatic sick like day or two or
Yes.
three, like when you get your period. I've been walking around the gym, like my insides are just like wringing out my organs, and like something's trying to claw its way out of my stomach, like just so uncomfortable and
Like regardless
crampy.
of like a tampon or a pad or anything, like you're so uncomfortable.
Yeah. And then it's
Having it
like,
in public is like a sin.
right, like I didn't have tampons in my bag, so then I had to use the like cardboard ones that they have at the gym. Also, I'm like, this membership is too expensive for you to be giving out cardboard motherfucking tampons.
Those shouldn't even exist.
Right. So I'm like using those, and then it's like I like am rushing in between client sessions, throw that up there, and then it's like not incorrectly, so you're kind of like trying to wiggle it into the right spot, like walking around trying to like help my client, just like you have no idea what's going on right now.
Oh man, oh man, oh man.
But we're getting through.
And
It's
through.
all good.
I am just thinking out loud. I think my thorn, nothing like huge is happening, but recently, like a miracle, Annie has started to sleep through the night, like around 7 to 7, which is just insane.
I'm knocking on
For
wood for you.
some reason, I have been waking up at like 5:30, like wide awake. Like
Oh,
I feel like I hear like, I don't know, like my alarm clock going off, like, and I cannot go back to sleep. And so that's
ugh.
kind of annoying. And I'm thinking that like there's an underlying situation of like my subconscious is like, get up and go. You have like get ready before she like things like that.
Yeah.
And so it's just become a little frustrating because like I'm just trying to sleep a little bit longer and
Yes.
like
Even just to like 6:30, if
yeah,
you can do that and just not feel like you're popping out of bed.
I'm just like waking up and being like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. And then like the moment I wake up, both the dogs are like, yay, and like start to
Right.
shake. Tags are everywhere. And I'm like, this
You're
is
like,
not
everybody relax. Yeah. And then you're waking up and immediately going into like stress mode.
and I think that that's kind of like an easy just way to wake up with a baby anyways, because I like wake
Yeah.
up and like I need to go feed the dogs, feed the cat, let the dogs out, go pee, take my medication, I need to put the dishes away, I need to like all before she wakes up, like it's
Right.
all these things that I want to get done before she wakes up, because when she wakes up it's like she just needs to snuggle for like a half hour, which I love and wouldn't change. but it is like a constant, like you wake up and you're like, don't sit down, like get going.
Yeah. Oh my God, 100%. I mean,
Mornings are great, but they can also be overwhelming.
yeah, I feel like we just keep coming back to the same theme.
Or like move on already.
I know. It's like, okay, what should I be doing? What should I be doing? What should I be doing? Like, bitch, you can relax.
Yeah.
How about you try that, brain?
All right. Well, let's jump into it because our episodes have been like an hour and 45 minutes long because we love to chat. So I'm going to try really hard to just get to the friggin' point today, sister.
I agree with you, and I feel like there is a little bit of hope because we are recording virtually. So I feel like without just, the power of our magnetic energy being in the same room, I think we might be able to keep it a little bit more concise,
Yes.
you know?
Mhm. All right.
We also always tend to record on Fridays, and I feel like we both are like, it's Friday. Like, you know what I mean? We're hanging. It's
Yeah. It's like the
good.
only thing that we do the whole day. So now we're both like Monday
Right.
afternoon.
I'm like, it's freaking dinner time soon.
Yeah. All right, cool. So you have
Cool.
to early. I'm gonna let you lead the charge.
Cool. I feel like there's a burp that might come out soon, so if it happens, don't judge me. This is a safe space. Don't drink seltzer water while podcasting.
Every time I'm like, oh God, my belly hurts.
Yep. Pro tip. But okay, so I feel like, the last month-ish, we've been talking a lot about attachment styles and like relationship types of things. And even I feel like last or this week's episode about like your infertility journey and all of that. Um, a bunch of kids are running around outside. Sounds like a whole gang out there.
Yes.
Um, but I feel like this can kind of tie into that too in terms of just like self-care
Yeah.
in your life. But so I have been listening to Jay Shetty's audiobook, Eight Rules of Love, How to Find It, Keep It, and Let It Go. Um, I'm sure many listeners have seen him on TikTok. He has his own podcast. He's been on a million podcasts. And he just is very insightful. And I think he studied as a monk at one point or another, like just has a lot of wisdom. And so I saw it pop up on Audible and figured why not give it a listen. And there was such an interesting chapter about it was like the first chapter before even getting into all the relationship stuff, all about your relationship with yourself and spending time alone and the importance of that. So I felt like that would be an interesting thing for us to talk about, both like, if we were able to kind of figure that out before we were like in different relationships, and now, okay, how do we do that now that we are in a marriage, and like why is that important to prioritize and all of that. So let's do it.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to run through a few things that he talked about in that chapter. And then I figure we can kind of talk about our own experiences and maybe give the listeners some good ideas on things that they can do themselves.
Yes. I love
Okay,
this.
cool. So he started off by talking about, which I found really interesting, how society has kind of like primed us to be extremely fearful of being lonely, and alone. Like thinking about a lot of the movies that we grew up watching, like Mean Girls, or a lot of like those teen movies that were like the 2000s, like early 2000s era that we grew up in. Like loners were viewed as like the losers, and they, were made fun of and bullied and all of that. Like it was all surrounding like popularity. And then every movie ever, like that also was like the era of rom-coms, and every trope was really like, you know the worst thing that ever could happen would be you ending up alone, and like you're single, that's horrible, like that was always the problem. um but really, being alone doesn't necessarily have to equate to being lonely and loneliness. And like allowing yourself to kind of develop the skill of being alone can be really helpful in like developing who you are as a person, getting to know yourself so that way you can feel like more decisive and more confident and be able to just like choose a partner with more like volition rather than just falling into situations because you're afraid of being lonely and that's the person that's right in front of you. Um, and also like learning how to have kind of like conversations with yourself and like decipher how you react to different situations. Like even if you're in a situation like, okay, I'm gonna go sit at a restaurant alone, or I'm gonna show up to this party alone and I only know this one person or whatever it is. And it might feel uncomfortable, but like that can be a learning experience of like, okay, this made me self-conscious, but why? Or like, oh, I actually felt really confident doing X, Y, and Z because of, whatever it was. And you can kind of start to learn about like what aspects of yourself are super consistent and what things are triggered by different things. Um, yeah, like I just found all of that really interesting. Like when you think about it, it really does just make sense. Like it's pretty common sense, but I feel like we're never really told these things. We've just been told that like,
And once you jump into a relationship, sometimes like these things go to the wayside, even if you haven't like investigated into this type of like self before your relationship. So I feel like it's a good topic to like go back to and kind of like do a little check into like how am I prioritizing myself within a relationship? Because that you can kind of get lost sometimes.
yeah, 100%. And that's kind of what he also was saying, like kind of two different aspects of it. Like when you know yourself better, you're able to better like identify your values and your goals and what you want out of life. And you'll be able to communicate them better with your partner and to really be able to see, like, okay, do our visions of life actually line up? Or am I just like going along with someone else's vision just because they're there and mine isn't super clear in my mind? And I feel like those are the situations where then like way down the line you kind of realize it and then, kind of kick yourself for like,
Yeah.
wow, why didn't I prioritize myself at all? Or
Yeah.
like I
I
never
think,
wanted this thing or whatever it was.
but I think it can go either way because in one sense, I think that you should have like a clear like framework for your own values. And in another sense, it's like you also have to respect your relationship and be able to kind of like communicate your needs and come up with a plan that collaborates both your needs and their needs. So it's like
Yeah.
it's not healthy to be in a relationship and just go with your partner and whatever vision they see for your future together. But it's also, not, you can't have both things, right? So it's like you have to be able to have that communication and be like, this is what I want, this is what you want. Let's form something healthy together.
Yeah. Do they align? Are you able to find healthy compromises? But like just being able to, yeah, even have those like open and honest conversations and like know what are your, you know, for sure, like I have to have this and what things could you compromise on? Like if you're someone that like knows that you 100% don't want to have kids and you're
Yes.
going on a million dates with guys and never communicating those things. And then all of a sudden you end up in a relationship and you're like, and that's the biggest point of contention in your relationship, like it's so unfair for both parties. Like both people end up better when you're able to, communicate, big and small issues. I don't know why it jumped to like the biggest
Yeah.
thing.
Like, whoa, there's no compromising on that. You can't have half a kid.
No. But and then also knowing that like your partner can't, like of course your partner is there to support you and like should be, a rock in your life and everything, but your partner can't solve all of your problems, but also knowing that is a really freeing thing because you're able to kind of like take that pressure off a little bit and like find a deeper connection, but then also know that like you can have friends that kind of not fill gaps, seems like. the wrong verbiage, but
Mhm.
like not relying on this one person to be everything for you, which we discussed in like both episodes about attachment styles. But like you're able to like, okay, maybe make connections with other people. So you have like, this close friend that is always your go-to for this, and like this friend that like, kind of gives you this thing, but then your partner doesn't have to be all of those millions of hats.
Correct.
Yeah. But then also in terms of doing it like if you're not in a relationship and you want to be in a relationship, spending the time by yourself and seeing how much time you spend alone and how you feel being alone, you're able to really like practice meeting your own needs and giving yourself what you need and what you want before you expect that from someone else. Like you're kind of teaching yourself what standard
Mm.
you might want, which I found really interesting because that's definitely not something I ever did.
Like creating your own expectations of how you should be treated. You
Yeah.
teach yourself to this standard, like you need to meet me here. I expect you to do this for me because like I do this for me.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So I found that really interesting and it made me really reflect on, um, what I'm doing right now in this current phase of life, but it also made me kind of sad to think about, which I know is silly because like we shouldn't have regrets and all that, but it made me sad to think about all of the time I spent in my like teens and my 20s. Um, and like of course I had fun like dating around and like doing all that, which I think is also a part of growing up and about learning about yourself, but I wish I had spent a little less time focusing on that and more time focusing on some of this stuff that he was saying, like really building up your own personal interests and your different circles of people and like pouring into your own cup before you're like searching for someone else to pour into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
That's a pretty healthy thing to do. Those people are probably pretty securely attached.
Yeah,
In my
I
little,
would say so.
someone help me.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Like thinking back, like it made me really reflect back on those times. And I feel like, especially moving around so much and as a like teenager, I feel like I was so fearful of being lonely. Like, I think going into moving was really scary. And every single person around you would be telling you, like, oh my God, that's horrible. It's going to be so hard. Like, that must be awful. Like, hyping you up even more, being like, oh my God, it really is going to suck.
Right.
And
It's
like,
so courageous that you did that.
I mean,
Not many
character builder.
people, but
It
it is
had
pretty amazing.
good and bad things,
Yeah.
but I feel like yearning for that like acceptance and
Mhm.
being so fearful of being lonely ended up in me just like throwing myself like headfirst into relationships that like weren't really meant for me instead of just taking time to like actually figure out who I was because I was so afraid of the fact that like I didn't know who I was. So like those people would just figure it out for me kind of thing, you know?
Well, here's the thing. I am an only child, and so I find that this idea fascinating because I feel like you
Yeah.
think about it as your recent life, or you can think about it way back to childhood, right? And it's
Yeah.
like in childhood, when I was an only child, I was forced to be alone a lot of the times, like with
Mhm.
your thoughts. So it's like even your childhood can mold these types of situations. Like I remember being like, quote unquote, bored, and my mom being like, that's the best thing in the world for you to feel bored because like you learn so much in that moment. And I feel like I have taken that into everything that I like preach and teach
Yeah, I
um
love that.
for that age range. And it's like I do think back to those times where it's like you're bored, so you're forced to think like, what do you want to do? Like there's no choice here. Like you have to make your own choices. And so like you have to initiate them, you have to explore, you need to be creative. And so I feel like being an only child, albeit was not fun, I feel like definitely molded me into like being an independent creature. And
Mhm.
I'm like a extroverted introvert, I would say. Like I can socialize and I can have fun with people, But like on the inside, like I'm that only child. Like I love being alone. I love dead silence. I'm constantly like talking to myself in my head, going through like all of the different ideas of like what I can do and my choices. And I feel like your experience in your childhood can also, mold you as an adult, which is an interesting concept to think about.
Yeah, 100%. I was gonna say, I feel like you must be just more comfortable spending time alone because of that, because you had a
Yeah,
lot of practice.
I definitely seek it out. And I think I mentioned this before of like I'll be with Annie and it will be quiet all day long. And I'm like, oh my God, did I like talk to you today? Because I, I talk to myself all day long in my head, but like, did I say anything out loud to you? Sorry, girl.
Yeah.
Because you just get used to that. And like, like I have a whole world inside my head constantly.
Yep.
Whether it's, a lot of it is worry, but a lot of it is like visualizing. And like I remember I saw this is totally a tangent, but I saw an astronomer one time and she was reading my chart
Ooh.
or whatever, my birth chart, and she was like, does the language kind of like trip you up sometimes? Does like speaking, is that like, is it hard for you to communicate exactly what you're thinking? And I was like, yes. Oh my God, like you're reading into my little like everything inside of me. And she's like, it's because like the way you explore is through like energy, and the way that you like communicate is through like, put like pull and push of like your energetic force and stuff. And I just found that fascinating because I do think that that's an important like facet of mine.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting, like now having a baby and being in a very long relationship, like learning how to communicate that can be challenging as well.
Yeah, totally. And like, obviously, you love spending time with Chad. You wouldn't be married to him if you didn't. But
We
being able to
little,
communicate, but like being able to communicate when you're like, okay, I need some alone time to recharge right now.
yes, yes, and we're like so opposite because he's one of four. So I like he will have the music on, the TV on, he'll be dancing, he'll be on his phone, he'll be like his like phone never sleeps. Like how like
Stop. Yeah.
everyone's phone just like turns dark after
Yeah.
like 30 seconds or whatever. He has his, so it's just always on. Always. It never turns off. And I'm like, that is
Like,
so
this is chaotic.
I can't even, but he like needs that
Yeah.
like constant like processing because like he's so used to being in that commotion. Uh,
Mm.
whereas I'm like, well, I think about my thoughts in the silent dark.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, so, anyways, going back to this original thought of um like really finding your own need can stem from your foundation of how you were as a child.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it does go back to like everything, those experiences and the attachment styles that you develop. Like, it's very obvious why I did not spend my teens and early 20s doing this kind of work and investing in myself and feeling secure and being alone because I was not securely attached.
Yeah.
um but it is funny to think about, like I can really look back and pinpoint exactly when it all started to turn around for me. And it really was when I started to build some self-confidence just through doing like little things outside of my comfort zone, whether it was like a project at work that just worked out, and then you feel a sense of pride for something that you created. Um, or I started um, doing some like little tiny solo travel things when I was working at Cape Air for a little bit and would like have to, take myself out to dinner. And it was like really nerve-wracking the first time, but then I realized that I really enjoyed it and I had some really cool conversations with like some strangers and got to make some random connections. Or um when I like went through training to become a group fitness instructor, which was totally random and outside of the realm of anything I thought I could ever do. And then it like built up my self-confidence, but then it also built up like, oh, I have all these hobbies and interests that are like separate from the person that I was dating at the time. Um, and like was really creating this life for myself. And it really, which I think, yeah, it can go one of two ways. If you're in a really healthy relationship, it should just deepen that relationship. And maybe you share some of that stuff with them, or maybe it's just for you. And then that's like also really healthy. Or in my case, it really made me realize that like this life that I'm creating, like it's not aligned with this person, and like really opened my eyes to how unaligned we were. Um, and it like gave me the courage to realize that like, oh, all of this like resistance that I've been feeling in this relationship, and all of the like misalignment that I felt in my soul, like I would just randomly cry all of the time. I was miserable. Like I have the power to change that. Like it's my life. If I can do all those things, I can change the course of where I am going. And I think that was a really powerful feeling, which a lot of people just have that feeling without having to go through all of that stuff.
You
But
need like a pedestal right now. I am so obsessed with everything you're saying because I tell you how like everyone that I know about you, about how like you are such an inspiring, you are the
oh,
most inspiring friend I have in that realm
oh,
of like finding yourself and like being on a, I wouldn't say that you were unapologetic about it. You were probably apologetic about it.
people pleaser, so I'm probably still
So sorry
apologizing
that I'm
for
feeling like this,
it.
but it isn't working. Um, no, but like you really like, because some people fight that feeling of like, this is no longer, we're not on the same trajectory. Like a lot of people just like stick with it because it's just
Yeah.
easy. Like you're in a relationship, you're like projected to get engaged or you're projected to like get married or have kids or whatever. But like you were so brave in those moments to be like, you guys were living together, you had to break a lease, you had to spend all this money, like you just but it what you couldn't do it anymore and you just had to
Yeah.
listen to that inside like voice. And I feel like it's a two-part thing where it's like you were so brave to go out and try all these new amazing experiences and opportunities, and then you were even like more brave of having to like cut the shit and be like, this is no longer valuable for me. And that's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, well, first of all, thank you. I feel like I was just like talking on a tangent that like wasn't
No, I
making
feel
any
like I'm just like
sense. And
listening, I'm like taking notes.
and just to like it also like sometimes feels weird just to like talk about yourself, and it's like who the fuck cares? But I feel like I I wish that someone else, like maybe I probably wasn't ready to hear it at the time, but there are things that I wish that I had heard from other people, or like seen people do. So maybe I could have figured it out a little bit earlier? So if maybe one person that's listening, it like resonates with, I would say it's a lot harder to sit and stay in something that feels so unaligned and so out of your control. Like that's really what it felt like. It felt like my life wasn't mine? And
Mhm.
it felt like that for a really long time. And I feel like also like with the attachment styles and the conversation that we had with Lauren, where it does get to a point sometimes where, yes, you're acting in ways because of maybe the way that you were raised or different experience that you had that led you to have this attachment style or whatever. But also, it gets to a point where you have to take control of your life and own up to like the bullshit that you're doing and the stuff that you're bringing into your life, the energy that you're bringing into your life, and like choose like, is this what you want or not?
Right.
You know?
That thought of like hurt people, but like healed people can heal people.
Yeah, totally.
Have to do the work in order to make an impact in the world. Um,
Yeah.
and you think it's only impacts you, but it like is so contagious. I feel like even me and you, like we were always really good friends, but once you went through this like grand adventure, I feel like I was like obsessed with you, and I'm like, you're never leaving my side again because like you just like were yourself, and like our relationship grew, and like
Yeah.
things. And I feel like you don't necessarily see that in the moment. You focus on just that one big thing, and it might not even be a relationship. It might be like you're not aligning with like your job and you really want to go back to college, but like going back and like doing that whole thing is so much work, but like you're hating your job. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's like you're like stuck in a body that you don't necessarily feel comfortable in, but like you're still just going along for it because like, oh, it's too hard to like go and get my blood work done and make life changes, but like you're still
Yeah,
gonna be stuck there. You have to do something. Like
right.
it's gonna be hard, so choose your hard.
Yeah. What's like that definition of insanity, right? It's like doing the same thing and expecting different results. And at some point, you just have to, decide. But not that I'm saying that everyone should like start
Go break up with
do,
your husbands,
yeah, right? Everyone go break up with your boyfriends.
quit your jobs, and come live with me in the Indian village.
Yes, perfect. We're gonna build a compound. But I feel like that the smallest little bits of spending time alone and not being afraid to get to know yourself a little bit better, because sometimes it can be scary to look yourself in the mirror and like face some shit, but you'll start to live a little less passively, which I think is a pretty beautiful thing. um and kind of goes back to the whole like, you know you can't just be expecting your better half to be coming along. It's like a much healthier relationship will come from two whole people, or as close to that as one can truly be, like not saying that people have to be perfect, but you know, having your cup, like I feel like, what was this saying? I saw it the other day. It was like fill your own cup and then feed others with like the overflow,
That's cute. I love that.
something like that.
Cute.
But
So what do we do?
yeah.
Tell me.
So I feel like my notes are so disorganized. Okay. So let me just run through a few bullet points. What?
So I need a cheat sheet.
A cheat sheet. Yes. And we'll definitely post a little like infographic with more ideas, because it doesn't have to be this big grandiose thing like we're talking about. We're kind of going to the extremes of how it can help you. But I feel like I've had some really interesting conversations with different people that kind of all stem back to these ideas. So, just a few things of like byproducts of spending more time alone. And again, not in, doesn't have to be in big ways. It can be small little things here and there, just like going for a walk
Go to
and
the
being with your
bathroom by
thoughts.
yourself. You don't need girlfriends to go to the bathroom with you. Just throwing that out there. Be brave.
Yes,
Even you.
be brave. But it can help you make friends with similar interests as you. And like that can be a hard thing, like making friends as an adult, that can be a scary thing. Um, Makes you more able to stand up for what you want and deserve in a relationship, but also at work. Like it becomes easier to set boundaries when you know who you are, what your values are, what your priorities are, and you feel more confident in like standing by those things. Um, it can make your time spent with your partner more meaningful. Like we were talking about with you and Chad, Caitlin, how you
Yeah.
were saying that like, what was it that you were saying that you like to do that Chad doesn't want to do? Like rollerblading or something? I
Rollerblading.
don't know. Why am I thinking that's something?
Running. When I used to run.
Running.
When I used to do
You're
things
like,
like
I don't want to do that anymore either,
yeah, I'm
though.
like,
So.
we don't do that anymore. Yeah, when I would like make him run through the streets of like Philadelphia when we were vacationing because like I
Yes.
wanted to do that and he hated every living second of it, but he was like, sure, we'll do
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
like it didn't help either of us. I'm pretty sure we like ended it in a fight, as you do.
Right. But like, say, if you were like so obsessed with running, instead you like made that the thing that you did alone, or maybe you went alone to like a run club, the November Project, like one of those things, then like you would thrive in that moment fully because he wouldn't be complaining, you wouldn't be resentful that he was complaining. And then when you came home and came back together, it wouldn't be like tainted by that. And then you could just like come together and do something that you both wanted to do. Like that's so nice.
Yeah.
Um, Having like personal autonomy, having more confidence, feeling more like understood by your partner because you're able to communicate better. Um, and then having more control over behaviors and patterns that like might feel like disordered or toxic or just like not serving you, like maybe realizing like, oh, I really use drinking as a coping mechanism for social anxiety, and then realizing like I don't need that to feel comfortable in a situation because now I'm more comfortable in my own skin, or, body image stuff, toxic reactions to things, like being like a very reactionary, that's not a word, I don't know, maybe it is, kind of person, you know what I mean? Um cool. Okay. I'm talking so much. I'm so sorry.
That no, I want you to keep talking because I feel like I am the audience right now. Like I need to just like soak in all this information. I
This
love
is a
that.
master class by Mandy.
Thank you.
Okay, so here are some ideas, big and small. Um, Take up a creative hobby at home, which I think also can help just with general mental health stuff, like getting you off of your phone, cutting out some of the noise, like taking up knitting or painting or even just reading or cooking or baking, like something like your hands are busy, you're like
Vision
focusing on something, you're creating something. Going for walks, runs, hikes, rollerblading, any of that by yourself. Just be safe out there.
safe.
Be aware, be safe. Bring your phone. Just putting that out there. Um, if you're into, that kind of stuff, maybe attending a workout class on your own, like trying to find, like if you're looking, you know, to make friends or something like that, like finding a little community, whether it's a studio that seems to be really positive or a run club or, one of
Yeah, another
those.
thing that I'm thinking about, just like as you're talking too,
Yeah, no, please, please jump in.
um, but when I was kind of like going through my little bit of transformation while I was married, like you went through yours kind of like before you got in this amazing relationship you're in now. Um, but I found that this is like a weird thing, but I found a person that like I looked up to, and then I kind of like followed along their lead with like what are they doing in their lives that like I can incorporate into mine. So like I found like a life coach, and I kind of
Yeah.
like explored their recommendations. Like I follow them on social media. So I like went to all their events. I went and like a
Yes.
vision board workshop. I like, met up and like got coffee with her. We would have our weekly chats. And it was like that was something so for me. And my husband thought it was so friggin' weird at the time. And if I were like years younger, I would have been like, oh, well, it is kind of weird, like I'm doing all of this like spirit work type of situation. And like, he just never understood it. But it's like
Yeah.
for him to understand, it's like
Yeah.
sometimes it can be just like moving yourself into a different way of thinking as like
Yes.
a whole entirety. And this is obviously a big one, but it can be fun too. Like, look for role models and like, what are they doing in their lives that like you could also do?
Yeah, I love that so much. Instead of it's like if you want XYZ for your life, you're not going to just surround yourself with people that don't have those same beliefs, don't, want any of that, or you know what I mean? Like instead, put yourself in a room with some people
Yes.
that you might learn from, that you might be inspired by. I love that.
Yeah.
And that can be a scary thing going. Here's
Hmm.
an example. Going to a sober circle.
Yep. I love that.
But
Love
like
that.
on your own, you don't know anyone. Like that's so cool.
It was really cool. And I feel like although it was like funny because like I'm not sober and I'm not an alcoholic, but it was one of those moments that like I felt so brave for doing. Like,
Yeah.
wow, I'm actually gonna do this. Like no one's going with me that I know whatsoever. And it's like it was really emotional and heavy, but like I did it anyways. And I feel like it helped me, but it also helped people that I told I did because then it like inspires them to do more things. Um, and so like you don't have to think so like go out to dinner with yourself, go to the movies by yourself, like different experiences that might seem a little wacky might end up kind of bettering you as well.
Yeah. And I feel like it's like twofold. It's like, yes, you are gaining confidence because you signed up for something that obviously excited you, but made you a little uncomfortable. and you followed through for yourself. So that's the best way of building self-confidence. But then also, there's something so special in just the way that like women can connect to each other. And, a bunch of people that you don't even know, and you probably had some like super deep, meaningful conversations and connections with them. Like, I think that can like fill your soul in such a special way.
Yeah. That's
I love
awesome.
that.
Yep.
Um, well, you just shit on three of my next ideas, but take yourself to the movies. Take yourself out to lunch.
I mean, I've also done those things. I've not gone to the movies, but it's just because I'm not a movie gal.
I freaking love going to the movies, but I don't think I've ever taken myself out to a movie, and I think I might have to do that.
Hmm. You know what I would prefer is like sitting at home with no one in my house and
Well,
a glass of
yeah.
wine and a movie on the couch. Like that's more my cup of tea.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would prefer that also.
Just comfier, if anything.
Yeah, so
But I guess
comfy.
the whole purpose of this is to like be around different people's energy and like society and not be like a crazy introvert like I want to be.
But I
Right.
think maybe for some people that cannot slow down and spend literally any time alone, staying home, maybe when you're feeling some FOMO, but you need to rest or something, staying home and reading a book or staying home and watching a movie and like setting that boundary, that also can totally count, I think.
And like put your phone down, you know.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I think it's also to be said that in this like we're so far away from the Jay Shetty thing now, but he does talk about like alone time as being like you're not just like on your phone, you're not being distracted, you're not sucking in all of this information from like podcasts and from looking at Instagram and all of this, like you are truly alone. You are with your thoughts. You're not being like, distracted with other people. And I think each of these different scenarios can give you different things, but okay. Attending like an industry event or maybe like a networking event or something like that that might feel really uncomfortable to show up to by yourself and like having to go mingle with a bunch of strangers like sounds like my worst nightmare. But okay, I remember now. Things are coming back to me. Um when I was pretty fresh in starting out in the fitness industry and like making that jump, I was teaching for my studio at the time, at this like workout like event, I guess. It was kind of like a sweat crawl instead of like a bar crawl, and we were participating in it. And the company that was sponsoring it had a little networking dinner the night before. And I remember talking to one of the other trainers at the gym being like, I really don't want to go. Like, I was invited, but like, I don't think I'm going to go. Like, I just don't know anyone. So it just seems like, I don't know, like, it's not going to be fun. I don't want to do it. And he like sat me down and he was like, Amanda, you are talking yourself out of it. If you want to be in this industry, you need to meet other people and it's going to be a lot more fun for you. And I was like, oh,
Fine.
God damn it. I think you're right.
Yep.
And I went and it definitely was a little uncomfortable at first. And then I ended up like running into some people I knew. I like made connections with people that like I had seen around, but like didn't know actually, and like still have some connections. Like, put yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's definitely. I feel like
mingling sucks.
I like get out of body and experiences what like that. Like I can socialize with strangers and I can hold conversations with anyone, but like the whole time I'm like
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'd like what's this person's name? Like where am I? What are we talking about again? I feel like I'm just like spitting out words and not actually like able to like be present. And I feel like some people are really good at that, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And then like you walk away and you're like, well, that was not my best work. Did not nail that one.
We tried. Yeah, sorry, too
Totally. No, no,
bigger.
no. 100%. But I feel like even that can be a positive takeaway too, like walking away and being like, okay, I can recognize that like that was super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like those scenarios give
Yeah.
me anxiety.
Yeah.
And is that something that I want to work on, or is that something that I want to like accept is not for me?
Mm.
It's all information, right?
You're like my life coach right now. I'm like, I really believe. I'm like, okay, it's okay to
I
have.
need a life coach. Okay, like other kind of solo date types of things. If you live in a city or even if your town has some of these things, like spending an afternoon going to a museum that might interest you. Like I feel like thinking about living in Boston all those years, being single, like why didn't I ever take myself out to the MFA and had like a cute little Carrie Bradshaw moment,
Yeah,
you
totally.
know?
Love that.
And, like actually taking in the stuff because you're not just breezing through with people and like pretending like you're too cool to like
Yes. Or like actually looking at it and processing it instead of being like, does this look normal that I'm looking like this?
yeah,
A
right.
lot of times when I'm at the gym, I do that. I'm like, all right, normal people would go to the water fountain and fill their bottle up now. And then normal people
This is
would.
what we do now.
The other day I was at the Stairmaster and then I got off it to go and like clean it. And so I'm cleaning it and I'm like, yeah, like I just killed this. I just like did a great job. I'm looking so normal right now. I was cleaning the wrong machine.
Oh
Someone
my God, that's amazing.
literally, then I went to get my water bottle and I was like, oh my God, my thing is like way over here. And like the person next to me was just staring at me like
Just
this.
like, why are you cleaning this random machine?
I
That's
was
amazing.
like, oops, oh my God, that's so funny.
There's also like no graceful way. Like to this day, I still feel so awkward cleaning the Stairmaster and getting on and off of it.
Yes. I'm
There's
like,
no graceful way.
I was like, I had a headband on and I like took the headband off and my earbud like fell and I was like, oh no.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm gonna fall down this thing.
Yeah, and then it like bounces across the room. And then like the amount of times that I almost trip when I'm on the Stairmaster, like I have to look down the whole time.
So happy you said that because I'm always tripping.
Yes. She be tripping.
You tripping, girl.
She be tripping. Today I did trip and almost break a goddamn ankle at work in front of so many people. So
Just do like the drop and roll and be like, haha, psych.
trick.
We
Yeah,
feel
so she's beauty and she's grace.
it true.
Okay. Take a college course or like some kind of like adult continuing education course, like maybe a painting class, or you're really interested in like women's studies or whatever it is, like see what's out there. Learn a little something. Do something just for you.
I do love that. And I feel like there's some good priced options if you're not looking to like get a degree in something.
Right.
Like
Right.
so many like not like meetups, like just thinking about real estate and how like I'm always getting
Yeah.
like real estate for women emails and meetups and things like that. So like find something that interests you and then you could do a little meetup and like network
Yes. Totally. Learn a little something.
that way.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like committing to like, well, I'm gonna go get my master's.
To get a
Like,
doctorate today.
right. Like it doesn't have to be like a whole big thing. It can just be like for fun.
Yeah.
Um, okay, especially I feel like us New England girlies, there's so many options. Take yourself on a little day trip.
Mm.
It's a beautiful day. Take a drive to a cute little town you've never been to. Meet some locals. Get yourself some lunch. Do a little shopping. Have a nice little drive.
If I did a vacation by myself, all I would do is eat. I would,
Oh, I mean, duh.
not that I ever do like now, but I feel like that would be the only thing that I would feel comfortable doing. I'd be like, I'm gonna look up all the best coffee shops and get high on
And
caffeine
just be like,
from
yeah.
like 8 to 11. And then I'm gonna go and eat like every vegetarian restaurant in the area and
Yep.
then drink wine all night long by myself, you know?
Yes. But
I like
even like little things of like, okay, I'm gonna go to this beach town for the day, take myself to the beach,
mm,
grab some lunch and a nice crisp glass of rosé after. What a
yeah,
good day.
I love that.
I feel like going to the beach alone is pretty low stakes. Maybe besides like a stressful parking situation, low stakes.
Yeah, I was
Bring a
gonna
magazine, bring a book.
beach by myself. I go like at least once a week, but like I also live near the beach, so a
Yeah,
little bit easier.
I'll be joining you.
Come on, girl.
We're gonna podcast from the beach.
Yes. It's like
Literally. We can't even do it at home
Cheers, guys.
correctly. So, okay. And then like in bigger ways, going on an actual solo
Mm,
travel. big trip, which I've never done. I love the idea of it. It also scares the living bejesus out of me, but I think it's a really cool concept. Like I know that you would learn a lot about yourself doing it,
Mhm.
but I think
And
it's
like you
really
go on a trip and you're like Emma, like, I want to go
yeah.
surfing. And so you go surfing. You know, it's like you don't have to
Yeah.
ask a person, hey, would you be interested in this? Like, I think that's kind of cool and empowering of like, what would I like to do if I traveled to Iceland? Like, what would I like to do if I went to Colorado? Things like that. And really
Yes.
planning an itinerary around yourself.
Yeah, I really love that. I also love that, especially in terms of like if you're single and like feeling like, well, I should wait until,
Mm,
I'm married to go to this place. Like, don't wait around. Like, if you are been dying to go somewhere, freaking go make it happen for yourself. And then you can always return with the love of your life. And then that will be so special too.
that's right. I love that.
Like you don't have to put your life on pause.
Yes. Send me a postcard. Meet you
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And then if anyone needs any quick tips on
Oh,
that, my very cool older sister took herself on a trip to Paris last year, and she's married, she's pregnant with her first child. She was not pregnant at the time, but she did it because she felt like she needed a confidence boost in her life and like wanted, I don't know, just like needed to see that like she kind of still had some of that like independence and could like make it happen on her own and solve the problems that came up. And she also is someone I feel like it's important to say because you might just assume that someone that does that is just like super adventurous by nature and isn't ever worried about, doing things alone. And like she is someone that gets some social anxiety. So like something like that wasn't necessarily a super comfortable and easy choice, but she made it happen and had like such a great time. Like I remember the first night she texted us and she had been like pretty nervous going into it, and especially like, okay, I'm going to my first meal like by myself. I brought a book, I'm getting a glass of wine. And then like at the like first place she ate at by herself, a family like struck up conversation with her, and like she ended up talking to people for a while. And I remember my friend went to Puerto Rico by herself and the same thing happened. Like one of the nights she met this like cute like group of like older ladies that were like at a bar and like drummed up conversation with her, like wanted to know what she was doing. She ended up like going to get dinner with them another night, like made some cool connections, which I think is just
so inspiring.
yeah, just awesome. But she said to have one thing booked each day. So if you're feeling resistant to leave the room or like, a little anxious, you'll have a little bit of structure to motivate you to like go to that museum pass or the cooking class or whatever it is. And to then like get out and explore, to keep a charged backup battery so you're not left, especially if you're in a foreign country, without a charged phone. um Learning like obviously like language basics if you're in a country or a place that doesn't speak your language, and to pick a hotel with 24/7 desk coverage, so like for safety.
Yes.
Yeah.
The great thing.
um Sorry.
Next time, just invite me, but no big deal. I'm
What?
kidding. I said next time, just invite me, but like no big deal, Megan. No.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It looked incredible. She just like had croissants all the time and macaroons and champagne, and
Wild.
oh, she was living. Well, that's
That was
pretty much all I have. So I implore you all to take stock a little bit, like observe yourself. Don't change your behavior, but just like see, like, okay, how much time do I actually spend on my own? Like, do I always default to distracting myself on my phone or calling someone or feeling like I need to make plans and fill every free space? Observe and then do something alone.
love this.
Let us know how it goes.
Thank you for the inspiration, Mandy. I see a bingo board in my future of all of the different options I should choose.
Yeah.
This has been fabulous. Thanks so much for doing this research too. I really want to listen to this book or read it.
Yes, it's pretty good. Sorry that I just talked for so goddamn long,
You too. I appreciate it.
but
All
yeah,
right.
love
Thanks
you
for
so much.
we will talk with you soon.
Yeah, thanks literally so much for listening, for tuning in Monday after Monday after Monday. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at literally nothing matters pod. Follow us, subscribe to our YouTube to see our beautiful faces in these episodes. Make sure to rate and review the podcast if you're loving it. Share it with a friend and tell them how much you love it so then you can talk about it together because not everything has to be alone. And we'll catch you next Monday.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Wee.